Very happy evening, children. Hope you are all in good health. Now, when we talk about health, now all people are talking about immunity, and they say that if you need to be healthy and you have to protect yourself from coronavirus, then your immunity should be good. So, improve your immunity. So, now we are going to see about immunity. What is immunity? Why should you do it, and how to improve that? We are going to see in this chapter. Okay. Now, immunity is the ability to fight the disease causing organism. Okay, so we should be able to fight the enemy which tries to attack us. So a virus, bacteria, microbes or any foreign body, if it tries to attack you, you should fight and send it away. So that ability which you have within your body is called as immunity. I mean, there are two kinds. One is innate immunity, another one is acquired immunity. What is innate? Innate, hidden, which is already there, right? So this is non-specific and present at the time of birth. Yes, you have acquired from your parents at the time of birth. Fine. An acquired immunity is which you get in due course of time. Yes, one is pathogen specific, another one is it is characterized by memory. So let us see what it is. Now, innate immunity consists of four types of barriers. Okay, physical barrier, physiological barrier, cellular barrier, and cytokine barrier. Now, let us see what is physical barrier. Okay, now what do you mean by physic? It's the body, the outer appearance. Fine. First, what do you have in your body? On top, you have skin. Yeah. So that skin is a wonderful barrier. It protects yourself from all the microorganisms. Okay. So barrier which prevents the entry of microbes into the body when a foreign agent comes in contact with the body. That is what is this physical barrier. One is skin. When something tries to contact your body, immediately skin acts upon that and you get some itching or the heat or something you feel, and most of the times the skin itself removes that. So okay, suppose it further gets into it through some other means, there is another barrier which is mucus coating. So it is a sticky like substance, okay, and present at epithelium lining of the respiratory, gastrointestinal and urogenital tracts. So what is their function? They trap microbes, okay, and send it off, right? So mucus coating and skin, these are the two physical barriers, right? Next one is physiological barrier. What do you mean by physiology? Change, some reaction which takes place. Now, so what gives a reaction in the body? Secretions. So secretions of body act as physiological barrier and prevent microbial growth. Now in stomach, acid. Now when now virus or bacteria gets into it, the acid is which secretes just kills it. Then next, mouth. See, mouth is open all the time and it is very vulnerable to all these microbes and foreign agents. So which protects is saliva. Saliva is a very important one for us, which protects our body. Next is eyes. Yeah, so when tears fall, it is good. Yes, when a foreign body enters, there is some kind of irritation or itching and immediately tears come well in your eyes and they take the foreign body outside. Okay. Next is the cellular barriers. So what do you mean by that? Certain cells are there present in our body which acts as barriers. So what are they? So leukocytes, lymphocytes, monocytes, so all these are there. Okay, let us see how they do it. Actually, they act by engulfing pathogen and destroy by secreting certain chemicals. Okay, so here leukocytes, the types of leukocytes, that is nothing but WBC. white blood corpuscles of a body. Okay, they contain neutrophils. Okay, neutrophils, and then monocytes and natural killer. Natural killer is nothing but a type of lymphocytes. All these in the blood. Okay, as well as macrophages in tissues. Okay, so white blood corpuscles, which has leukocytes, monocytes, and kind of lymphocytes, all are present in the blood, and macrophages in tissues can phagocytose and destroy microbes. Now at this point you should know what is phagocytose. Phagocytosis means plasma membrane engulfs the large particles and produce some acid and kills, right? So when a foreign body tries to enter, these cells immediately they have plasma which just engulfs means surrounds that large particle and traps it, then secretes some kind of acid like substance or chemicals, and they kill it. So this is how this cells act. So cellular barrier. Fine. Next is the cytokine barriers. What do you mean by cytokine barriers? So cytokine means something which are secreted by certain cells. Secretion by some certain cells. So here virus infected cells secrete proteins, okay, called interferons, and these interferons, they go and warn the other cells. That means they protect the other cells which are not affected. So protect non-infected cells from further viral infection, right? So virus infected cells secrete interferons. They protect the other cells from further viral infection. They stand as barriers, not allowing the other foreign bodies to enter further. So these are the four kinds of barriers. So you can understand physical barriers, physiological barriers, cellular barriers, and cytokine. Physical means body, so skin and mucus coating. Next is physiology, means some kind of chemical reaction. So where all secretion is there, you can imagine stomach acid, mouth saliva, and eyes tears. Right. Next is cellular, which is based on cells, WBC, leukocytes, monocytes, natural killer lymphocytes, and macrophages in tissues. Okay, these are all there. Next is cytokine, that is the virus infected cells produce or secrete proteins called interferons, and they go and protect the other non-infected cells. Fine. Now, one way of remembering, you can compare it, easy way to remember. See, what I feel is just for you to have a better understanding. Suppose you come to your school, okay, building, office, or anything. Now, first, when somebody comes to enter, imagine some foreign person, some outsider, somebody, a stranger tries to enter a building or school. First, what is there? Which protects? That is the compound wall and the gate. Okay, so that is physical barrier which is built. So you can imagine physical barrier, something which is built, which stands as a wall. That is what is the skin throughout the body. Okay, now there the screening is over or sometimes overlooked, and it enters. Okay, now come, they meet whom? Office staff. Okay, and there is some kind of action which is taking place. Okay, they question, and then they themselves stop somebody who is trying to find fault or fight or create some problem. So they say, see, these are all, we will take care now, and you cannot further meet anybody now. So they send off. There they take care. That is what you can say it as physiological barrier, maybe the acid secretion or tears and other things. Now further you just, they get into, okay, office people allow some stranger to or a parent to interact with the teachers. Okay, they still want some clarification, or they want to question and fight or something. So there, who are all there? There are no, not teachers, even further you could say a manager or supervisor is there. So they take the matter into hand, and then they what do? They question, they take down everything, and they actually protect the teachers from these people. So they try to protect, and then they actually warn them, you are not supposed to do question like this, or do like this, or create problem, and they send them out. So you could call it as cellular barriers. Now, still further, okay, sometimes what happens, somebody or one person is affected. Imagine, in spite of all these, gate, office, and the manager or supervisor, they further get into, and there is one teacher who is affected, or who is shouted at, or who is mentally disturbed by the parent or the stranger. Uh, if suppose it happens, that teacher immediately sends warning signs to other teachers to be careful, okay, or knows how to send these people away by giving an answer, and creates an atmosphere, or tells about this parent or the stranger to the other teachers and tell them to be very careful. Now you understand? So just step by step. So a similar manner we have in our body also barriers to protect ourselves from foreign bodies. Fine. We'll move on. So we have seen innate immunity, which we got from birth, okay, which is already present in our body. Now next is acquired immunity, which we get in due course of time. So how it happens actually? So first imagine one pathogen, that is one foreign body, tries to enter our body. So that is one response is created, something tries to fight against that. So that is called primary response. When first a bacteria tries to enter, or a virus enters, there is a reaction. So that is called primary response. After some time, the same virus or bacteria enters. Now the body keeps in memory, already this came to attack, so it remembers and creates something else, that is called secondary response. Okay, so when first time the foreign body enters, pathogen enters, so the what is created is B lymphocytes. Okay, and second time when the same body enters, pathogen enters, the what is created is T lymphocytes. Okay, now these B lymphocytes, they produce army of proteins to fight against the pathogen, and that is called as antibodies, fighting the enemy. Now second time T lymphocytes are produced. They don't produce antibodies themselves, but what they do, because already B lymphocytes do that work, now they help B lymphocytes to produce more antibodies, right? Now let us see the structure and type of antibodies. You could see the figure here, the picture, a molecule of antibody, and four type peptide chains. You have four peptide chains. So two are small and light chains, two are long and heavy chains. So they are represented as heavy H2, light L2. Okay, small and light, long and heavy. Okay. Now different types of antibodies are produced in our body, and they are termed as IgA, IgM, IgE, IgG and IgD. Okay, they have various functions which you can further refer. Now antibodies, they can be actually further classified as AMI, antibody mediated immunity, CMI, cell mediated immunity. This antibody mediated immunity is already present in the body, that is the antibody is already found in blood. So they are called as humoral immune response. Okay, and this CMI is mediated or produced by T lymphocytes. Okay, so T lymphocytes mediate CMI. Now we are going to see about the transplantation. You would have heard about the transplantation surgery. Okay, what is that? When an organ fails to function well in our body, as for maybe heart, eye, liver, kidney, then they say this organ can no more function, so we need to go for transplantation, that is take from some other body and fix it here, right? So now that is called as graft. What is graft? You would have learnt in bio, that is a botany. Grafting a plant means fixing one plant with another plant and you try to bring a new plant. Okay, so attaching a piece of something, okay, that is what is called a graft. Now here you are grafting a piece of another person's body. Yes, spleen, liver, kidney, you are trying to bring. So this cannot be obtained from any animal or primate or any human being easily, okay, because it may be rejected by the acceptor or the patient sooner or later. So easily one cannot get it. Primate is nothing but this is a species of living being which are nothing but apes, monkeys without tails, emos, and even humans come under that. Okay, so graft is not easily possible. Now when we are trying to do it, what they do first, they go for tissue matching, blood group matching, and there are so many tests which are taken whether this part of the body will accept with the that is donors part will go well with the receiver's body to avoid complications, right? After transplantation, patient has to take immunosuppressants all his or her life. Suppose it is successful, throughout the life they have to take immunosuppressant uh, all the life. Okay. Now why this happens? It is because of the cell mediated immune response. Now we have already seen cell mediated response, that is T lymphocytes. So how they do it, actually those cells. So the body will differentiate between self and non-self. Yes, this belongs to this body. This is a foreign body. So what will happen, you can imagine, when something, our body identifies a foreign body, it tries to create antibodies itself. So it will not accept, try to fight, and it may win. So you understand the concept. Body will differentiate between self and non-self, and so finally graft rejection will take place. So there may be failure and it may lead to death. So we have to be very careful that the body has to realize that it is also a part of that. Now you can see humoral immunity, that is which is already present in blood. Okay, the antibodies present in blood. One antigen tries to enter, you see there. Okay, antigen means one which is given there a foreign body, and here you could see lymphocytes tries to immediately produce antibodies. You can see antibodies go and attack the antigen there, right? And thereby it allows it to die. Okay, so this is how it takes place. Now next topic is, now let us see what is active and passive immunity. Right. So when a host is exposed to antigens, what is antigen? Antigen is a substance which enters the body and causes disease. Antigen is a foreign body which enters the body and causes disease. And when this antigen enters, immediately antibodies are created, produced to attack it. Okay. So to fight against that, that is what. So suppose a child is born or a person is there and you try to inject into the body antigen. Okay, that is a microbe, dead microbe or protein or some living something else you try to inject into the body. The antibodies are immediately produced against that because it is a foreign body, it identifies. Antibodies are produced. So this type of immunity is called active immunity. How it will serve as active immunity? Because it acts immediately. You are making it to act. Why purposely this antigen is injected? To make the body create immunity or increase immunity. When at later stage the same antibody enters your body, the body identifies, yes, already that was there. So this is the same, and it immediately sends out more, what is that, antibodies, and it attacks. So you are easily saved. So that is what we talked about, B lymph, primary and secondary response, B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. So here, when one antigen is injected, antibodies are created, and later when actually naturally there is some antigen or enters, this identifies that, and the immunity in level increases. So this is called active immunity, and this takes time because it is a slow process. Now come to passive immunity. What is passive immunity? When ready-made antibodies are directly given to fight against a foreign agent. So already your body is attacked with a foreign agent, but immediately you need to be out of that. It will try to attack you and make it severe. Ready-made antibodies are available with us, and immediately that is what the doctors give. Then that is called as passive immunity. Okay. Now, this is a quick process because already it is ready made. Now, colostrum is one yellowish fluid secreted by mother during initial period of lactation. That is when the mother feeds the child. Breastfeeding is there. Now, at that yellowish fluid which comes in the beginning first, that is called as colostrum, and that has lot of antibodies, IgA antibodies, and that is very important, doctor says, for a child, because it provides immunity to infant. Okay, and then fetus, that is all, which when it is in the stomach, when the child is in the stomach, it gets antibodies through placenta. So both ways, from mother the child gets what is that, immune power. So that is passive immunity. We move to vaccination and immunization. This is based on the principle of memory of the immune system. Okay, so we have already seen that primary and secondary response, where the body remembers or uses memory to create B and T lymphocytes. Now here, in this vaccination, what happens actually? So inactivated pathogen, okay, that is the vaccine. Inactivated pathogen is introduced into the body. So when a pathogen enters, immediately our body produces antibodies to fight against these antigens. Okay, and they try to neutralize. Now, after some time, when natural infection occurs, these antibodies already inside will protect us from these infection. So this is vaccination. How vaccination works? When in the beginning, the actual pathogen is introduced into the body, and body is allowed to create antibodies. Okay, and when natural infection occurs later, our body is saved because of the already existing antibodies. Okay, this works on memory because it identifies the pathogen. Okay, suppose all on a sudden deadly microbe which is not expected, okay, a deadly microbe which the body doesn't know is enters our body, just as in tetanus or snake bite. So what to be done here? How the patient is treated is a preformed antibody or antitoxin, a preparation containing antibodies to the toxin. They are injected to save the patient. So this is called passive immunization, right? Now there is another one, recombinant DNA technology, which you would have already learned in the previous chapters. So with this help, large production of vaccines happen. That is immunization. That hepatitis B vaccine is produced from yeast. because antigenic polypeptides of pathogen are produced in bacteria or yeast using this recombinant DNA technology, and hepatitis B vaccine is produced from yeast. Now here again the immunization, active and passive immunization. Active immunization is slow and passive immunization is quick. Antitoxin for snake bites, right? The next topic is allergies. So when we go to a cold place, a mountainous region, or into a forest or AC room, or a dusty place, we get allergy. How? In the form of sneezing or cough or wheezing or itching. Now these are all allergies we see. So why we get allergy? It is because of the allergens present. What is that? Organism which causes allergy, right? They are present in that environment. Okay. So now the exaggerated response of the immune system to certain antigens present in the environment is called allergy. Okay. So our body tries to act against these antigens, and that is called allergy. Okay. Now the substance which induces allergy is allergen. So which are the substances? Mites in dust, pollens, animal dander, etc. Now what is the antibody produced for this allergy? That is IgE type. And what are the symptoms? Sneezing, watery eyes, running nose and difficulty in breathing. Okay. And the reason is the release of chemicals like histamine and serotonin from the cells, mast cells. And what is the diagnosis? Injecting small dose of possible allergens and reactions are observed. And drugs, antihistamine, adrenaline and steroids quickly reduce the symptoms of allergy. Okay. And why this allergy occurs? In protected environment, lowered immunity. Okay. When someone is in a protected environment, the immunity is very less. So because the body is not exposed to any antigen or foreign body, and so antibodies produced inside is less. So the immunity is less, and more people are sensitive to such allergens now, because all are in all try to be in a protected environment away from nature or the natural one, right? Okay, now you have autoimmunity. What is autoimmunity? That is the failure of an organism in recognizing its own parts as self. So it fails to protect its own cells, thus leading to an immune response against its own cells and tissues. Okay, what happens? Immunity is the ability to fight against a foreign body or a foreign agent. But here, autoimmunity, the immunity created to fight against its own cells and tissues. You understand? Okay. So higher vertebrates, like human beings, what it has developed, evolved and develops its ability to differentiate foreign organisms or molecule from self cells. But sometimes what happens, due to genetic reasons or some unknown reasons, the body fails to understand its own cells and starts attacking self cells. That is called autoimmune disease. One such disease is rheumatoid arthritis. And you can see in the picture how the hand is. So that is the beginning stage, and then the intermediate, and then the later stage. So it is an autoimmune disease. Immune system in body. So yeah, to consolidate, let us see. It is a system of biological structures and processes within an organism which protects the organism against any disease and helps to identify self from non-self and remembers them. So what are the structures associated with the immune system? Lymphoid organs, tissues and cells and antibodies. So soluble molecules, all these are important. Now, unique as it recognizes foreign antigens, responds and remembers them. So functions, important role in allergic reaction, autoimmune disease and organ transplantation. Now lymphoid organs. So these are very very important. These are the organs where origin and or maturation and proliferation of lymphocytes occur. Proliferation means increase in the number. So lymphocytes are increased here. Lymphocytes play an important role in actually sending out the antigen, that is protecting our body, serves as barrier. So the primary lymphoid organs are bone marrow and thymus, where immature lymphocytes are present, and they differentiate actually antigen, they actually produce antigen sensitive lymphocytes. But after maturation, okay, the lymphocytes move to secondary lymphoid organs like spleen, lymph nodes, tonsil, and pairs patches of small intestine and appendix. So the secondary lymphoid organs um, provide the site for these lymphocytes to interact with antigen, and which then proliferate, that is increase in number to become effector cells. Okay, so now the bone marrow is a main lymphoid organ where all blood cells including lymphocytes are produced. The thymus is a lobed organ located near the heart and beneath the breastbone. And thymus is quite large at the time of birth, and after it slowly reduces in size, and once somebody attains puberty or maturity, it becomes very small in size. Next is the spleen. It is a large bean-shaped organ, and it contains lymphocytes and phagocytes, and it acts as filter, okay, of the blood by trapping blood-borne microorganisms. Next is lymph nodes. They are small solid-like structures located at different points along the lymphatic system, and antigens trapped in lymph nodes are responsible for activation of lymphocytes. Now there is a lymphoid tissue located within the lining of the major tracts. We have already seen respiratory, digestive, that is gastrointestinal, and urogenital tracts, called mucosa associated lymphoid tissue, MALT. Okay, this consists of 50% of lymphoid tissue in human body. So how lymphoid tissues, lymphoid organs are very important in immune system. You could see here lymphatic organs. So the picture shows the thymus. We have seen thymus is present. It is located near the heart and beneath the breastbone. You could see there. And it is quite large at the time of birth and becomes very small later when you attain maturity. Then lymphatic vessels all over the body. You can see how it is running. And then spleen is a bean-shaped organ, and the pairs patches in small intestine and appendix, and bone marrow, you could see that. Okay, then functions of lymphoid organs are given here. So that's all about immunity. So what did we learn? What is immunity? That is trying to fight against a foreign body which enters our body. Innate immunity and acquired immunity. Innate is already within us at the time of birth, and acquired is you get in due course of time. And 4 kinds of innate immunity: physical barrier, physiological barrier, cellular barriers and cytokine barriers. And then acquired immunity, in which you acquire when a foreign body enters. So primary response, secondary response, and antibodies, the structure of antibodies, and then humoral immune response, that is antibody mediated immunity and cell mediated immunity. Then active and passive immunity, okay, how the antibodies produce on its own because of the antigen entry, that is active, and already produced antibodies are injected, that's passive. And then similarly you have vaccination and immunization, the same, by it is due to memory, okay, the vaccination. And the next you have allergies. Allergies are also a part of this, and antibodies are created. Next is autoimmunity, when the same cells are not recognized and antibodies are created against and it tries to attack, autoimmune disease. Next is the immune system in the body, how it functions and lymphoid organs. Okay, we have seen bone marrow, thymus, and then the spleen and lymph nodes, all this. Okay, so that's all about immunity. Thank you, children.